The D-bag tax. So New York women are charging men up to $3,000 for failed relationships and bad dates. I think this is honestly kind of like absurd, but let's get into it. Sarah was fed up. The New York City social worker, who declined to give her last name, had had countless dates cancel on her at the last minute. So when a man she met on an app recently pulled out of their date an hour beforehand, she agreed to reschedule with one caveat: he would Venmo her a $50 deposit. I'm just done with my time and energy being wasted, Sarah told the Post. In almost every other scenario, when someone books a time of their day dedicated to you, they have a no show policy or security deposit. The man agreed to the terms and sent her the money. They met up for a drink on a Monday night date in Hell's Kitchen, and he was fully engaged the entire time, paying for their cocktails and offering to buy them food to share. Sarah's female friends cheered her brazen move, while male friends told her it was nuts. Still, she has no regrets. I think it makes sense, she said of the arrangement. Now, here's the thing: that's not necessarily a bad idea to do, right? But the thing is, like, it makes sense to basically have someone agree to actually go on a date and basically have commitment on going on the date. Like, that's not a bad idea. But if you are just going to automatically involve money with someone that you just met, not even in person yet, that can kind of go down a pretty weird path. Let's see. Yeah, if I ever give you another shot, I'm gonna need a security deposit or something. I definitely owe you a round or two now. Again, sorry about that. Security deposit needed, lol. I don't like wasting time. Ha ha, what's your Venmo? Blah 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 blah. Apple paid her, like, basically did like an Apple Pay, sent her $50. Oh, well, thank you. You'll get that back if you do everything right. Ha ha. Wow. Interesting. Dating in the digital age can take a toll, both emotionally and financially, and some city women have had enough. They're asking men to pay them back for their time and energy when they cancel, cheat, or commit other indiscretions. For me, it's a way to just be like, you're a D-bag. Here's the monetary value of my time you wasted. Martha Duke, 38, told the Post. The thing is, what's interesting is that for some reason she thinks that her time is worth that much, right? So Duke says she sent around 6 Venmo requests ranging from $1,500 to $3,000 depending on their financial situation over the years to different men she's dated. That's weird, right? So the prices matter because if you know that you could get more money from the dude, you're going to charge more money for it. Wow, that is so weird. So she listed infidelity, secret marriages, and hiding having multiple sexual partners from her as some of the reasons for the charges. Putting a monetary value on caddish conduct helps men to better understand the error of their ways, Duke said, adding that she puts the phrase the D-bag tax in all her Venmo requests. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this lady is kind of too full of herself. New York is the narcissist capital. Duke, who works as a personal assistant, said, they're not going to understand what you did really hurt my feelings because they don't grasp feelings, they grasp money. Duke says the Venmo requests have been cathartic and she submitted them to men who offended her in various ways. One man had promised to help her with rent but required a not too subtle reminder. Another abandoned her on a weekend getaway in Atlantic City because he expected more of her. A third dude ghosted her and resurfaced a month later, married to another woman. When I ran into him again years later, he's like, but my divorce finalizes tomorrow, want to hang out. She recalled in disbelief. About half the time the suitors have paid up, Duke has been surprised at the success of the request, but hypothesized that men, they would rather pay than deal with the emotional consequences. If you're dealing with narcissists, you're never going to get closure, she said, but I can get the mental image of them receiving my Venmo request. Hazel Everett, 34, agreed, saying she sent a Venmo request to a man she'd been seeing for several months after he stopped communicating with her and sent her another woman's nude photos. Well, that's kind of weird. I just went on Venmo and I requested $100 and for the highlight I wrote for wasting my time, she said. Although initially surprised at her request, her former partner paid the money, stating her reasoning behind the charge being the significant time and effort into their relationship, which was not reciprocated. As for Sarah, who never went on a second date with the man who paid the deposit, but no matter, she came out ahead. I never heard from him again, she said, so I just kept the money. And let's see, a couple comments. She is a very greed little prostitute. Most pathetic thing ever. These men are the weakest generation absolutely ever. Emasculated and proud. New York City women should date their vibrators. Feminism has destroyed dating and relationships. It's a wonder any children are born in New York City. With all the rhinoplasty in New York and Long Island, men are shocked when the baby is born with a huge honker. Where the F did that big horn come from? This is prostitution. The thing is, this is basically in the gray area of basically being, I don't know, maybe illegal, like that person said, being like kind of like prostitution. Because, I don't know. Maybe it's prostitution. Maybe it's more like a situation where, like, this is like, just basically became her side hustle, right? Her side hustle has now just basically became Venmoing people that she randomly like linked up with on dating apps. Which the thing is, I probably wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of women on dating apps doing this exact thing. I would not be surprised because if it's this easy to get a guy to pay them money for doing nothing, basically, why not? If you can make $3,000 just saying like, "Hey, give me money because I'm a chick and you're a dude," basically, why not do it? You could probably easily make a full-time living doing something like that. Now, her reasoning was, apparently because they are D-bags. But the thing is, if they are really D-bags, you would never interact with them ever again, period. Right? You wouldn't even be sending a Venmo thing because you don't want any interaction with them at all if they're actually a D-bag. So, if someone stumbles upon this, feel free to give your thoughts on this. I think this is kind of like in that gray zone of being potentially illegal. But either way, this is definitely a good side hustle, I guess, for some ladies where you could probably make a good living doing something like this. Because you only need a few guys that are either simps or basically emasculated guys that are going to be willing to do whatever these ladies want, where these ladies could end up making a full time living, basically belittling all these guys. Like, you don't need that many guys to be that desperate to make a good living. Like, you really don't. And you could be either an ugly girl, a semi attractive girl, a very attractive girl, one of the most beautiful women ever, all that sort of stuff, right? You could literally probably look like a fish outside of water with makeup on it, chopped up in half, and still probably get a guy to pay you money just because you asked them for money. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So, I understand her trying to do something like this, but it doesn't really mean that it's good, you know? But either way, I would use this money to help myself in like a financial improvement type of way, right? I'd use basically whatever money that she made from this and she keeps making from this into paying off my debt, creating an emergency fund, starting to invest for my retirement. Like, because like, why not? This is just like extra money coming in, right? Like, you were already going to be messaging people anyways, messaging these guys anyways. If these guys are willing to send you money, why not? Why not? I just think it's crazy. I think it's crazy that guys would even do this, but why not? If you could make a side hustle that could pay off your debt, create an emergency fund, and fund your retirement, and you just gotta send a few messages every day, why not do it? If you want to learn how to get a debt, master your money, go to 40bucks.com. I just think this is kind of honestly a funny and sad side hustle.